Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast live stream. We're going to get started. We're going to talk about stuff that matter to me in the hobby this week, as well as answer Patreon questions and chat. This is something that happens every Monday. Without further ado, introducing the Archon, the man himself, the Elf Supreme, Archon Skari. The Dark Kin indeed, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the Monday Show. I'm Skari, your grateful host, and this is a show that we do every Monday on Patreon for all the patrons, where you get to ask questions, I get to answer questions. I talk about musings and things that matter to me in the hobby world, and today I'm opening up for the public. Every once in a while, I open up the vaults. I'm doing a really cool special on Patreon where you get a 7-day free trial as a Cabalite. So you can just sign up for 7 days, check out all the free bonus content, and join the community for a little bit and see all the videos and things, and just get involved. And if you like it, you can stick around. And if not, it doesn't cost you a penny, but you can come hang out. The link to the Patreon is down below. So I just want to hang out. I just got back from a really cool GT in Toronto. Thank you so much for the love and chat. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Mark and Cosmic. I see you folks there. And I decided to take an army that was just Coven. Okay, so other than a single Cabalite warrior squad, I ran a meme list with what is considered the worst faction in the game right now, Dark Eldar. Drukhari, being the Archon that I am, I had to. It just had to happen. And it was 54 people at the tournament, which is really, really cool. It was awesome seeing everybody there. I had a ton of fun. And I played against some great opponents, great players. Played against 6 completely different factions. So it was really cool. Great opportunity to test this list and stress test it. Overall, I played 8 games with this list, or the combination of this list. I played 1 into Dustin Henshaw, which was this week's battle report, which was really fun, against Genes to the Cult. Awesome. Then I played 1 into Necrons, which is the battle report I'll be releasing this week, and that's into John the Cron. And then I played 6 games of the GT. I played against Grey Knights. I played against Custodes. I played against Eldar. I played against Death Guard. I played against Astra Militarum. And then what was my last game into? Oh my goodness. I was so tired. I just do not remember what my last game was. Anyway, one of those. There's just a variety of different games I ended up playing, which is really awesome. I had a lot of fun. And I learned lots. So I'm going to be doing that live game, like the tournament in review that's going to get released tomorrow. It gets edited tonight and releases tomorrow. So everybody can watch it. It'll be great fun. While I'm down at Mini Wargaming filming another battle report. Yeah, and then of course I'm going to be posting the Vault battle report that was for 30k. Alpha Legion with the Death Guard. I got to play Mortarion, a fellow Patreon who came all the way down from England to Mini Wargaming because he's been following them forever. And then we had got to play a game of 30k, which was hilariously awesome. And I love playing the Alpha Legion. And he even brought me this guy. Oh, I'm so excited to paint him up. Bow. Yeah, look at him. Exodus. Oh, he's got like the coolest looking sniper rifle. I cannot wait. Direct from Forge World. Oh, so cool. And then that kind of goes together with my Alfarius that I have as well that I have to paint up. Alpha Legion is my jam for 30k. Just saying. Other than that, it's been really fun. And I'm really excited. If you have any questions, of course, put them in chat. Hello, welcome everybody. It's a live show, so we're just hanging out. Usually I have some I don't necessarily need music or anything like that. But we go through the questions that the patrons have submitted. Now, of course, if you want to submit a question, you can always do so by being in chat and posting a question in chat, and we'll answer that. Then we have a patron Discord where there's a thread where you can put your Monday show questions. As you see, boo, the Monday show, which is like a podcast, but better. That is what I use for Vindicare Assassin. Oh, that's a really cool use of Vindicare Assassin. Fanatical ADM. Third. Nice. Do-dee-doo, do-dee-doo. Okay, you're having a great time, Mark, aren't you? You seem so chill today. Just like, yeah, I'm just enjoying. Actually, might end up playing against Corn tomorrow, like World Eaters. Yeah, it seems like that's the plan. I'm going to be playing my Dark Eldar into World Eaters, which will be very fun. But it's like a Highlander 1500 point list because I'm practicing for the Mike Mudd Memorial Tournament, which is coming up, which I'm very, very excited about. That's like the best thing ever. And it is what? Monday afternoon, Monday evening in Eastern Standard Time, which is crazy because time just absolutely flies when you're having fun. Anyway, without further ado, in true Scary fashion, I have waxed poetic and told you about my weekend in the last 6 minutes, and I rambled. And it's time to get into the actual part of the show where I talk about the show. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mark says, ooh, would love to hear what 10th edition Highlander rules look like. Well, so far it's pretty straightforward. You can take one of every unit, except for dedicated transports, which you can take 3 of each in the system that we're playing. We're also allowing legend units at the Mike Mudd Memorial Tournament, which is awesome because I get to run my Dark Eldar Reaper from Forge World, like one of my 2 Reapers, and I get to run the Raven Strike Fighter, which is the old school, like, Forge World Dark Eldar plane that looks like the Bat plane. It's awesome. So I'm really looking forward to trying it out because it's like a Razorwing jet fighter except 50 points cheaper and about just as good. Yeah. So interesting to say the least. You know, I'm always trying to like test new things, so it's fun. Also, my hair is like I'm all floofy and like crazy today. So yeah. Anyway, if anything, should probably make it so it looks like I'm looking at the camera when I'm looking at the screen here. I don't know. You tell me. Which angle do you prefer? This one or this one? Leave a comment down below. Let me know what angle of my face you prefer. Jawbreakers. That's a great question. Do you have a favorite model in all of 40K? I will say one of my favorite models is the Tantalus, the Dark Eldar Tantalus from Forge World. It's just like I feel like if there's a model that represents, that represents a faction and it represents it very well, that would be the model. However, there are a ton of models. Like in 40K, like the 40K models, like pale in comparison to some of the cool models that you're seeing from like Age of Sigmar. Some of those models are just phenomenal. And then of course they just keep on releasing new stuff over and over, and it's hard to keep up because there's so many cool new things you want to try and explore and check out and stuff, and it's just crazy how like it impacts things. So a lot of the times my favorite model does fluctuate because I'll look at a model and then it's cool and that's like my new favorite model, and I'll look at another model and that's really cool and that's my new favorite model. So okay, let's dive into the Patreon questions. Carl Malone, Andrew Leonard says, should 10 minutes left announcements be mandatory at GTs? Most GTs do give you time warnings, absolutely. Which, this is in reference to the game that I played round 4 at the GT. It was live on stream, so go check that out. Tabletop Live did a live stream of the event. They streamed all 6 rounds. I was on the first game of day 2. You can watch me play Zach and his Death Guard. Very tight game. I ended up losing the game, spoilers, because it's just like how it goes. And by 3 points, they did call time on us as we started our 4th turn. We were running a clock, like we did have a clock going, and there was it was a hard dice down rule for the event. As soon as they called dice down, that was it. You weren't allowed to like roll any more dice or whatever, which is understandable. They didn't make an exception for anyone. Even though I have a YouTube channel, it does, or we on stream, there was no exceptions. Now, there was a bit of confusion. I had heard them say 10 minutes, 10 minutes left, and we had about a combined 6 to 8 minutes left on the clock. So I thought we had a couple extra minutes. So there was something, there was a miscommunication, or like somebody read like the two clocks or whatever. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I had a fun game. I wish I could have finished the game, but most events will give you full warnings. And of course, if you're running a chess clock, you just have to make sure it's accurate. That was a lesson for me. I did have 2 games go to time, that they called time on us, even though we were using a chess clock, and both of us essentially had run out of time. And it was the 2 first rounds of the event. And it just felt like 2 hours and 45 minutes did not give us enough time to get up, get started, and get going. So I feel like the solution would have just been make the first, because the other 2 games of the day, round 2, round 3, tended to go faster. I think you're in the zone at that point. You're just like more on point, like you're going with the flow. But by the time we started rolling dice, we each had like an hour and 5 minutes left on the clock, because we like set up and talk about our lists and chat. Like we're trying to have a conversation, and it's very transactional. If you just show up and go, "Wow, let's go, we got to roll dice," and I've played the game for 30 and odd years, where the social aspect of the game is just as important as the like winning and like the sorting the puzzle of how to win. But yeah, so just check, I guess, or ask, hey, you're gonna give time announcements or whatever. So if you go to an event, like, it's yeah. But having a chess clock's usually the best solution for that. I just need to learn how to play that list faster, is what it is, because there was a lot of dice rolling. Now, then I got better at it towards the end, but I needed more practice with it. The heck? How do you run out of time? 3 turns in, New Jersey nickname Mark on slow play. It wasn't just me. It's not like I was the only one out of time. Like, I had 30 seconds on my clock. My opponent had like 30 seconds on his clock. Like, we both ran out of time with 2 turns left. It was, yeah, we just didn't appreciate the time. Yeah, so we both, and then he ended up winning basically. But it was very tight, close game. And it just showed that my crazy coven list concept had legs, multiple legs if the homunculus had a way with it. So, what's a good time window for a round in 40k 10? 3 hours time? Yeah, so 3 hours I think is probably a good time. And then give about 15 minutes in between rounds. I think that's a comfortable amount of time to get your games in. Yeah. Some armies do it more than others. See, like, I'm playing a very technical list that you can't really make too many mistakes with, so I probably need a little bit more time to think, like, before I started moving. I just need to get faster at it. Yeah, 2.5 hours is not enough time, because by the time you get there, you look at your opponent's list, you deploy, like, then you literally have like an hour each, and it's just not enough time to play a game with an hour on the clock each. Like, it's just way too stretched. Okay, on to the next question. Tactical Terrain Eric asks, I have run 2 RTTs using the new Games Workshop terrain layout. Cool. Layout number 3 to be exact. Okay, so not using all 4 different ones. Overall, players feel it's a better experience than the Frontline Gaming player optimized terrain system, player-placed terrain, for anybody who's not used to that concept, that dominates the local meta. However, the players feel the board center is too constrained and ask I make the footprints smaller. Given your experience on similarly set up tables, should starting cutting down the terrain or force the players to adjust? You need to use layouts 1, 2, 3, and 4. So try the different layouts, because like I think 3 has a very chalked mid board, but the other layouts open up the mid board a little bit more. So you need to like try, that's what I would recommend, is try the different layouts and don't just do one GW layout. Make sure you're using all the GW layouts. Because the layouts themselves, it's good to have 1 game out of 3 where the middle is all like clogged up, but make sure you have the other terrain layouts to force players to adapt, instead of just like, oh, well, now I might as well bring my 10 Terminators with Thunderhammer Storm Shields and just sit them in the middle of the board, or 10 Wraithguard, because they can like dominate that mid board and can't really, you can't really get out of it, sort of thing. So that would be my recommendation as well. 2.5 is really crunchy. 2.45 to 3 is better. Yes, says Phil. Also, I definitely want to be friendly with my opponent. Makes the entire time less stressful. Yeah, like chatting and talking. Like, I played Devon round one, and we were just like having a good time. We're chatting, talking, and then we ran out the clock. And then with Zach as well, even on stream, like we're having a good time. Like we're attacking. It's a very technical game. We're playing like a really intense chess match, and then we ran out of time. So, well, it is what it is. Eric just says, wonder if they ever will bring back Mandrakes, Grotesques, Beastmaster, the monsters, and Core of the Archon. Yeah. All of that Finecast stuff, right? I wish we could just like instantly be like, boom, ready to go, brand new, let's go. Plastics, please. They did that one run towards the end of 9th edition where like, they're like, oh, we're gonna do a made to order, here's a bunch of beasts and, things. And some people took advantage of it, some people didn't. And then in 9th edition, they actually made things like the Beast Pack, like, viable, and Mandrakes, like, absolutely mandatory. And, nobody can get them now, so you better be good at converting them or finding something that works instead of. Anyway, Eric, I hope that answers your question. Thanks a lot for popping by as well, so that's really nice. Phil asks, I haven't played since Stud and Snotling, so over a month. Yep, the meta has actually changed quite a bit in even just a month, especially with all the changes. It is a lot. Every army you feels like it can win games. It's unreal how much of a difference it makes. Made a huge difference. I just had a chance to input all my notes into a spreadsheet. Nice. What do you think is the most valuable data I should focus on so I can learn from my past games? Obviously, I don't have details on every game written down, but I would like the broad strokes, i.e. army opponent, army deployment, missions, scoring, win-loss draw, etc. I can remember the gist of how each game went based on the stats. That is a great question, and this is something that with coaching clients, for example, they get a full spreadsheet that they get to fill out. Thank you so much, Cosmic, for making that spreadsheet, actually. That was very nice of you. Which has all the data. So you get your opponents, your name, the mission you're playing, all that stuff. But then the most important part of that is your primary and secondary scoring every single turn for the entire game. So you can put in how many points you scored every turn, and what secondaries you scored, and what your primary was, and if there was any bonus points you got. And so when you look at the data, you can see, number one, the first thing I would look at is the point differential on primary versus primary, right? So if I'm getting, 20 points on primary, and my opponent is getting 40 points on primary, and I'm on average losing the game by 20 plus points, the issue is my primary scoring, right? So we have to figure out a way to lower my opponent's score and increase my score, so we can kind of work out strategies to increase that. If we go back and, I'm scoring 40 points on secondaries, say, I'm picking tactical, and I'm scoring like 25 points on secondaries, and my opponent is on average scoring 35 points, and, and I'm losing by 10 points on average, well, then there's something to be done with the secondary scoring. Maybe we should try fixed, for example. So I think that's the biggest thing, is the differential between the primary and the secondary scorings on both players. And then essentially trying to lower that gap and find strategies to lower that gap based on specific missions. But if I were to say, if that's the first thing I'd look at, the broad strokes, that would be the main part, because that identifies something that's very measurable that you can try and tackle, whether it's primary or secondary scoring. And then you can find strategies that help you with that. And that's a little tactical tip from Scary. But I hope that helps, Phil. And it does take a lot of work, because you do have to like extrapolate all that data. But at the end of the day, if you notice that like you're losing games and your primary is like 45 and your opponent's is like 47 and on average, and your secondaries are like 28 and your opponent's are 33 on average, it's like really close, right? You're like, okay, so do I need more ways to score secondaries, or do I try and deny my opponent's points better? So, in that case, I'm like, okay, if it's so close, like I can't really do more than what I'm doing. So like, how do I stop my opponent from doing? So then it becomes a gameplay thing. Do I need more stuff to sacrifice to stop them from denying points? Or does my thought process have to change, where I'm like trying to actively stop them from scoring points. You know, the amount of times this weekend that I literally did scoring denial. I was just trying to deny points. Deny. That was literally the biggest thing that I was trying to do there. So, okay. I hope that answers your question, Phil. But thank you for asking it. It's a very, very good question, actually. Army asks, what is your favorite Star Wars movie? That is a great question. So when I was a kid, we had a VHS, and we had the trilogy of the original trilogy of Star Wars on VHS, and I probably watched those 3 films over and over and over again in my since I was 10 years old. And I always preferred, which was my favorite. My favorite was Return of the Jedi. That was just my favorite. I just really enjoyed that one. That was because it had the Ewoks and it had the fight and the jungle, and I really liked all the rebels, their gear, they that iconic look. I just loved that iconic look. And so that was probably my favorite. And I also loved the Luke going into Jabba's palace and that whole thing. That was cool. And but now I would have to say my favorite Star Wars movie now was Rogue One. That film was excellent, and it's it just gets you in the feels every time, and it's very well done. I really liked that film. I also really enjoyed Andor, the Disney Plus series, which then essentially I guess that character ends up leading up to Rogue One or whatever. Anyway, it's fantastic. Rogue One was great, very very good movie, and that's if everything was like that, it would be really good. Sadly, it's a hodgepodge, But as a fan, I guess I'm a sucker for some Star Wars. I won't cling on to it. You can all like the video for that joke, or dislike the video for that joke, or leave a comment. Whatever works for you. You can even clip that joke and beam it up somewhere. Okay, I'm done. As you can tell, I am very tired, and my humor just gets better. Dies in War Mistress. I know, Tanya would be so done with this stream if I had made that joke on stream. Excellent. Excellent. On to the next question. Olha says, tips and tricks for someone starting Chaos Demons army. Mainly, how to play, playstyle, etc. So, I think right now the main sort of demon list is monster demons, but we're not seeing a lot of them. I'm seeing a lot of demons being used as allies. Zach, who I played on round 4, had Nurglings as allies and a couple of Chaos Knights, to do some ranged damage, which I think is a great option to put into, say, a Death Guard style list. But in terms of Demon's Army, other than people bringing Be'lakor, right? Be'lakor, Shalaxi, a Great Unclean one with a 4-up Feel No Pain, a couple of War Dogs. It's a very the list that you see for demons are very monotone, and they're based around the monsters, but I don't think that's the best way to play demons. I played demons in this edition, and I played one of every Greater Demon, one unit of every faction that goes with the Greater Demon to make use of their auras. And that felt like the monsters themselves seemed to be the main attraction of a Chaos Demon list. The Greater Demons. I haven't. So, and then as for style and play style, how to play, you have to put pressure on the middle objectives. You move into them. You basically sticky them, and then you teleport around the board and just kind of bully your opponent's units because you can do damage. You can kill stuff. The key is trying to stay alive long enough to make sure that your damage kills because your opponent can shoot you. So things like Be'lakor become important just to kind of keep you alive, right? And it's and that's kind of all I've found it does. In a way, they look so cool, and it's such a fun army to play because they're so unique. At the same time, I think they're okay. Like, they'll win games, they'll lose games. There's nothing really for me that stands out as like, this is the one thing you should do. Because you could probably try a variety of things. Have flamers bouncing up and down and shooting stuff. You could have chariots and screamers bouncing around doing lots of secondary options. You could have like little units like denying points and like clogging up the mid board. So I'm pretty sure there's lots of options for you as well. Demons have a bunch of hounds and flamers running around. Yeah, hounds, flamers, they're fast, they're maneuverable, and that's the thing. It's about scoring points and just getting lots of points while like preventing your opponent from getting primary points by sending big demons and murdering them on objectives. Like, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the style that I've seen. But if you're starting a Chaos Army, I highly recommend you start with like a start collecting box, or even like for AOS, because AOS demons and 40k demons are the same. Just find like a demon set and then just paint it up. See if you like building and painting the models first and collecting the army, and if you do, then move on to something else. Find a god that you like, or try all of them together. I highly recommend getting a Be'lakor, because that thing is awesome and he looks really cool and he's really good in game. Khorne Demon's box is pretty great, says Mark of Khorne. Not biased at all from Mark of Khorne. Get some Khorne Demons today. You heard? You can use my affiliate link, ilovekhorne.com. I don't even know what that website goes to. That would probably be some weird, creepy stuff. Don't Google it, children. Okay, Raymond asks, what is your stance on player-placed terrain? They are ways to essentially make it impossible for some armies to address objective holders without needing to get deep into enemy territory, to get line of sight on target, try to remove them. I think player-placed terrain has no place in 10th edition. That's it. That's what I said. I don't think it has a place. Like, player-placed terrain does more harm than good. At least right now. I think the GW layouts that they set up for the new version of the game are quite good. All layouts, layout 1, 2, 3 through 4. But I think if you make a combination of their layouts, right, with WTC style ruins, like big substantial ruins that block good line of sight, have floors on them, and are not necessarily too thick, right? I feel like that's the best hybrid. Is the GW layouts with actual legitimate pieces of terrain, like actual ruins, like WTC style ruins. And I think that is like the best style of terrain. Now, player placed is okay, it's fine, but as long as there's like a courtesy zone, or like the courtesy ruins in the middle of the board, to prevent the I get to place the first piece, get a huge advantage roll. So either nothing can be placed within 3 inches of the center of the board, or the center line is like a no-go zone, like 2 inches from the center line, so there's always like some space in between, I think that there's a fine line between that. And if you haven't practiced with it, you have more of a chance to screw yourself over, because you don't know what you're doing, and you're just putting terrain down, and you go, oh, well, I made a mistake because I didn't angle this piece of terrain another 20 degrees this way, and if you don't know that, it just feels bad. Because you're like, if you just want to show up and play, at least when you have like layouts, you can be like, okay, I know what this is, I know where this goes, and I can like try and adapt to what's already on the table, right? Which is important. Good day, Green Blood Crusade. Thanks for coming to say hello. Daniel Kazan, what's the best way to get 10th edition compatible terrain other than GW and printing it yourself? Well, there's a variety of different places you can purchase terrain. I actually just set up an affiliate link with the official World Team Championship terrain set, which I'll be putting, I guess, a link down in the description below. Yeah, so you can check that out. Got 5% discount, and I get a little cut if you want to purchase it through the link, which is cool. Matías, hola, ¿cómo estás? Yendo a los Dark Yes. Estoy jugando mucho con los Dark Eldar. Me encanta el ejército, es muy bueno. Pero te puede ir mal en como cualquier tiempo que estás jugando. Pero un saludo, Matías. Gracias por decir hola. Hi, Carl Ray says, I like the idea of a buffer zone. Right, so when we were doing a lot of player-placed terrain here in Canada, there were two of the L ruins, basically were like in the middle. Based on the deployment zone, they would rotate, but there was always like 2 ruins in the same spot in the middle of the board, which prevented someone from Like, oh, look, I have 20 Sanguinary Guard. Oh, I won the roll to go first. Oh, I put this building right in the middle of the board, and I'm going to move my entire 20 Sanguinary Guard into this building, and there's nothing you can do about it. So yeah, that's my thoughts on player place terrain. It also player place terrain puts a huge emphasis on like out of line of sight shooting. Out of line of sight shooting is still very strong regardless of the terrain set, but if you can like player place terrain, it means like, oh, I can just bring like a 2 strong model unit, like 2 little dudes with like, I don't know, pistols, and like sit them on my back objective, and I know for a fact that you're not going to be able to shoot them, so they can hide forever, and I've invested 20 points in them or whatever. When it's like not player place terrain, sometimes it's set terrain, sometimes objectives will be out in the open, so you need to have options for that. Sometimes they'll be hidden, so you can take advantage of babysitting them with little shitty units, but it forces a more dynamic gameplay. Thanks for the question though, Raymond. Appreciate it. Patrick asks, when it comes to wound allocation for Necron warrior blobs. Nice, now we're getting some technical stuff here. Can you switch between allocating to crypto thralls and warriors during the same activation? So the way wound allocation works. So your opponent rolls to hit and then rolls to wound. And you roll all the same types of weapon in one go. You know what I mean? So if I have a squad with 10 splinter rifles and a dark lance, for example, I can either dark lance first, shoot, wound, right? And then you get to allocate the wound, and then I shoot all the rifles, and then you allocate the wounds for the rifles, or I do all the rifles first, etc. So wound allocation is one at a time, and then you take a save, technically. So if somebody shot me with, say they had a plasma gun, and it was a 2 damage plasma gun, and they had a bunch of bolters, so they have 10 bolter shots, and they go, okay, I'm going to shoot 10 bolters, 7 hit, 4 wound, his 4 saves. I go, okay, 4 saves. I'm going to allocate them on this warrior. Pass, fail, feel no pain, fail, so 1 warrior dies. Okay, so I have 2 more left, so I'm going to allocate it to another warrior, fail, pass my feel no pain. So now I have to allocate to that warrior again, because he's already been allocated a wound in that phase, so he has to keep on taking hits until he dies, or the phase is over. So then he takes a second save, passes. So then the plasma gun, rapid fire plasma gun, 2 shots, 2 hits, 2 wounds. Perfect. So because the warrior was the first one to take a save, he was allocated, he has to take the next plasma gun hit. So then he takes 1, fails, 2 damage, 2 feel no pains, fails 1, dies. So then I have 1 more plasma gun hit, so I can either allocate it to another warrior or allocate it to a crypto thrall. If it's 2 damage and there's not much else to go and there's no like mortal wounds I have to keep the crypto thrall around for, yeah, maybe I'll toss it into the crypto thrall, roll a save, failed, 2 4-up feel no pains, pass 1. Crypto thrall has 1 wound. So you can get really shenanigan-y with it. You just have to learn how to slow roll it and think on the fly of like, okay, what other guns are coming next? And do I need the crypto thrall for later, etc., etc. And that sort of stuff really elevates your game when playing with things like Necrons, but also playing with things that have different wound characteristics. Like, for example, the Beast Pack in the Drukhari army, right? If you shoot me a bunch of 2 damage guns, I'm going to put them on, the Razorwing Flocks first, which are 3 wounds each. So the 1 Razorwing Flock soaks up 2 damage attacks. If you're doing 1 attack weapons, I might put them either on them or like the Chimera. If you're doing like, and then the Claude Fiend has 5 wounds. So it's like an odd number of wounds, which makes it weird. So just something to keep in mind there as well. With about 10% between first and last factions, I really hope they are buffing the bottom few rather than more Eldar Orc nerfs. Alas, they never know when to stop with the nerfs. Yeah, it's a fine line between nerfing a faction into oblivion and making them playable, right? Look, this balance update that they did was excellent. It took, yes, Eldar is still very strong. Yes, they're winning lots of events. But that's also the most amount of people playing Eldar. Eldar is the most represented faction. But it changed the game, and for the better, in my opinion. And if they keep on doing it this way, now of course they're going to have to balance with codexes and detachments and everything involved as well. But they can be a little more granular with which detachments are being used more and which stratagems and stuff. So they get more data that way. But I have hope because honestly, I feel like you can win with any faction that you play right now. Especially if you just focus and learn and play, you can play. Some matchups going to be very hard, yes. Do some armies have an easier time? Absolutely. Especially into what is currently popular in the meta. Like, Chaos Space Marines right now are on the rise. You know, like at the tournament this weekend, Chaos Space Marines were crushing people. Those Obliterators and Forge Fiends, they were just like melting entire armies. However, I know for a fact that my Dark Eldar army crushes Chaos Space Marines. Like, just destroys that army. Like, kills it dead. Like, just tables it. But most other armies at the top of the meta, you know, like Grey Knights or whatever, will struggle into that. However, I struggle into Grey Knights because they're so fast and maneuverable, and they can out jump me. You know, so it's like there's this dichotomy and like balance between the factions, which is very cool to have. And expect your opponent to flip the clock to you if you slow roll a bunch of saves. Oh, 100%. But it's totally worth it, especially if you have feel no pains. Slow roll your saves, do feel no pains, take your time. But like, it can really have a big impact on the game. Not any more Chaos Marines are top versus right now more Eldar nerfs still rumored. Yep. Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised if like the Incarn gets hit again, because the Incarn is still really dumb. You know, just saying. But thank you for a question, Patrick. David asks, what U units would you recommend for craft rolls to get reroll wounds? Like if I were to change anything? I feel like Banshees or Striking Scorpions. You know, because anything that's like melee based should get a boost right now. Shooting is so powerful. There's not really a lot of melee armies. You know, like Corn Demon, like Corn World Eaters. You know, they're like the only thing. Maybe some Space Wolf builds. But other than that, if like, you know, if Howling Banshees or Striking Scorpions got reroll wound rolls and they got like they could run into something and kill stuff, that would be great. Yeah, it'd be nice to see them. So. Those poor souls. Yeah. Barnyard Jack. Welcome to the chat. Hello, Mr. Drukari. Why, hello, Barnyard Jack. I'll be playing Drukari for the first time on stream on Thursday this week. Very cool. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going up against Marines with a Tantalus. That sounds fantastic. I hope you have a good time. Tantalus, great time. I'm taking a Tantalus to the Mike Mudd Memorial Tournament this weekend. Big charity event. Really excited to play some games for charity. It'll be great. Black Templars for the win? Heck yes. But yeah, Stanley, that would be my idea. If I would rewrite the Eldar book, that's what I would do. Now don't forget everybody, I am doing a 7-day free trial for any of you who want to join up on the Patreon at the Cabalite tier. So you can head on over, don't have to pay anything. Try it out for 7 days. Join the community. Enjoy all the bonus content that I post on there every single week and be a part of it. If you like it, stick around. If not, no harm, no foul. The link will be in the description to check that out. Before we finish up, Dan Zass asks, how was your experience using the 2x2 Talos over the weekend? In my games, I've appreciated the balance of Haywire and Dark Lances rather than just all Lances. Great units for board presence and pressure as well. The Talos really impressed me this weekend. Now, they die very quickly. They are almost 200 points. But I really liked them. The twin-linked liquefiers were great. The gauntlets were okay. You know, they actually I had something to go in and kill Terminators or Wraithguard, right? But as soon as they got shot, they just died. They do not have the survivability that they used to because their invulnerable save went to a 6-up, which is actually a big deal. Going from a 5-up invul to a 6-up invul doubles the amount of damage they'll take against really high damage stuff. I also rolled inordinately low on their feel no pains. So maybe it was a bad judgment, bad representation of what's possible with them. But I love the Haywire. To the point where, like, I'm looking at my true competitive Dark Eldar list, which I took to a couple of GTs, and I want to essentially fit in the third unit of Scourge, but make them Haywire Scourge. Because I loved the Haywire. Having the Haywire was great. I think having that third unit of Haywire Scourge is the way to go. So 3 Ravagers, 2 Scourge with Lances, 1 Scourge with Haywire. And then, like, add in other stuff. And I think that will make a huge difference in being able to crack open those tough, like, tanks, like a Land Raider or Land Fortress, or even like the like really annoying Sagitors from like the Leagues of Votan, or a Dreadnought that's like in the middle of the board, or those what are they called? The Forge Fiends. You know, just things that you just go in. You know what? No invul, no save, 4-ups to just do a bunch of damage and kill you. And I think like it'll be very useful in the current meta. But the Talos were great. If I were to keep on playing them, I honestly would do 3 times 2 Talos. I'd just go 6 Talos, Haywires, Gauntlets, Twin Liquid Fire Guns, and I would just double down on it. Yeah, triple down on them because I think they're great. Hey, Diogo. It was awesome seeing you, buddy. It was fantastic. The Stutter Snotling team, we had you come in, what, 4th? Cody come in 3rd. Dustin come in 2nd. I came in 16th. You know, respectable. Top 30 with a weird Coven list. And lost to 2 great players, so I'm not upset about that at all. And like, that was like 10% of the field was us, and we were all up there, which is awesome. It's cool to see. On that, you were still crushing people with Eldar, because Eldar is still silly. Yeah. Well, folks, that is all I have for you today. And the Monday show. Of course, a reminder, this is a show I do for patrons every single Monday. On Fridays, we do the list crunch, where you can submit an army list, and I will read it, give you my thoughts, give you my process. So if you want help building an army list, it's a great way to do that. If you're a Scourge, Trueborn, or Incubi patron, you have access to that sort of like service, but I get to essentially show it off to everybody and talk about your list. If you'd like to support the channel, like this video, click that thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and share it with people. Leave a comment down below if you enjoyed the content. That is free, and that really helps the channel grow. The best way to do that is on Patreon, which I am doing, of course, a 7-day free trial for the Cabalite tier. Hang out with us, enjoy the community, enjoy all the extra posts and bonus content for free while you try it out. Okay, good evening, Tom Pedden. What's going on? Thanks a lot for coming by. Crunch, Scari's advice rocks. Well, thank you, Market Corn. I really appreciate that comment. A huge shout out to Monument Hobbies, by the way. Cody from Monument Hobbies, Pro Acryl, right? He gave me like an entire paint set of all Pro Acryl paints. Oh, I'm so excited to show them off on stream and stuff and do a bunch of painting with the Pro Acryl paints. I'm so pumped about that. Gonna try for more hobby sessions this week on the Discord. Awesome, Cosmic. It's been nice seeing you on the Discord doing hobby, hanging out, chatting with people. And whenever I get the time on, I like to hang out as well. Well, folks, I've been Scary, your grateful host. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll catch you on the flip side. The Dark Kin. And to answer your question, Tom, yes, I visited Warhammer World. I'm going to try to do that next time I'm in Europe. Around the WTC. That's when I plan to go to the Europe again. Go to WTC for at least the singles. If I make the team for the team event, I'll go to the teams, and then I'll go to England again. Do Warhammer World, visit, maybe do some collabs with people again, because I really enjoyed that aspect of the hobby as well. Jason says Pro Acryl paint. I know, I'm so excited. It's like a massive box. It's so heavy. Anyway, cheerio, everybody. The Dark Kin. I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye, everybody.